If you have a PT Cruiser and you see the oil pressure light on, don't panic. It might just be the sensor. It is a common failure for these vehicles. Hello and welcome to How to Helen, where you learn something different every day. In this episode, I was ready to replace the oil pressure sensor switch on this 2002 Chrysler PT Cruiser. However, on my last minute research, I found this guy, JT, the car guy, on explaining that this is not the issue. The oil pressure sensor rarely fails, and the issue is on the connector. There is a small piece like a diaphragm on the connector that is causing the oil light to turn on and flash on you. So it is not the sensor. So before I replace the sensor, I'm gonna try his solution first. Now, the sensor and that connector with the diaphragm is located here at the driver's side underneath the engine. So you have to go through the air box, to the fuse box, and remove the air filter system. Because of the opening on this area is very small, it would be hard for me to do the repair and get a good angle on the camera. So please bear with me, and I apologize if I'm not making a good angle or recording on this video. So just to compensate, I will add JT the car guy's video at the end of my video. Remove the connector for the mass airflow sensor. Slide the red tab away from the body, then press the button at the back to release it. Now, using a flathead screwdriver, remove the two hose clamps for the tube. Now, pull out the tube. To remove this cover, there's two clips on the side. Just release them. Now, raise it up a little bit, then slide it backwards to release the tabs. These are the tabs that you need to release it from. This is the back of the connector for the oil pressure sensor. According to YouTube and other mechanics, you just have to remove this part if you keep receiving that low oil pressure or low oil on your vehicle, and it disappears when you rev the vehicle. So just take out this part. Sorry if it's really dark, I can't put the camera on it better. Should I can? Let's do this again. So this is the connector for your oil pressure switch, and at the back there's this white diaphragm. That's what's causing it to trigger when it faultily detects that you have an low oil pressure. So they said that you just have to remove it. This one. Okay, that's what's causing it. Let's focus. That thing, and according to an online mechanic, which I'm gonna share a link in the description, you have to replace it with the end of a second. So if you have one of your sprays, you just have to get an end of the spray, cut an end of it, and put that in replacement to that diaphragm thingy. So now I'm gonna slide this into that slot. Won't fall. Yep, I dropped it. Okay, come back to me, come back. One more time. And slide it in to that slot. So it's in. You can see now. Now I'm gonna reconnect this back to the oil pressure sensor, and that should fix that pesky oil light. But of course, double check if you have oil. If you don't have oil, then it might also be the cause of why it's getting triggered. But that's all it is. Like I said, I'm gonna share the link for the other mechanic who suggested that.
2 hours later.
So I've been driving more than an hour now, and the temperature gauge is reading just below the halfway mark, and the scanner is reading at 201 degrees Fahrenheit, which is still within the normal operating temperature, and the oil light has not turned on. So what that means is this is really the culprit, a defective diaphragm on the oil pressure sensor switch. So before replacing the oil pressure sensor, try removing the diaphragm in the connector first. Hopefully that will also fix your problem. So that is how to correctly fix the oil pressure warning sensor light on this 2002 Chrysler PT Cruiser. This has been another episode of How to Helen. My name's RJeff, and thank you for watching.
Hashtag shorts, guys. Listen, guys, this is a 2009 Jeep Grand Cherokee oil light flickering. Here's my oil sending unit right here, guys. It's already been replaced, right? Y'all see that? Smack brand new. Well, guys, to keep this oil light from flickering, I talked about this on another video that I made about a PT Cruiser, but this connector is the same on a lot of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep models. Here's the connector. Same connector used on multiple Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge unit. And like they likely will have this little push pin in here. What we need to do is get this out of here, guys. So grab your pair of pliers and pull that out. All right, just throw this away, guys. What's happening is this connector cannot breathe, and it will cause your oil light to flutter. Now, we need to go a step farther. Grab your can of whatever spray. All we need is a little piece of this hose right here. Now, what we're going to do with this hose, we're going to put it in a spot that came out, that this white thing came out. All right, that way that connector can breathe. We don't want that passage to go closed. All right, now your oil light should stop flickering. Hashtag shorts.
When you see the oil pressure light on, don't panic immediately. Make sure when you see the oil pressure light on the 2000 it is a common issue that the oil, if you have a PT Cruiser and you see the it might just be the oil pressure. If you have a PT Cruiser and you see the oil. Hello and welcome to How to Helen, where you learn. Make sure it's on. Okay. So before I replace this, I'm gonna try this. So before I test. So I have been driving for an hour now, and as you can see, the temperature gauge reads. So I've been driving for an hour now, and the temperature gauge is just below the halfway mark, and the scanner is reading 187 degrees Fahrenheit. So I have been driving for almost an hour now, and the temperature gauge is reading, and the scanner is reading at 200, all because of this diaphragm that is defective. So it was really this causing the issue. So I have been driving for an hour now. The temperature is reading just below the half. Now, luckily, so I have been driving more than an hour, and the temperature is reading and the temperature gauge is reading just below the minimum, and the temperature gauge is reading just below the halfway. The oil light sensor or oil light pressure light has not come